During the pandemic, so many people felt like their lives were spinning out of control. We were locked in, uncertain, fearful. And when that happens, you start to forget that you have the power. But let me tell you something straight. You are not your job. You are not the news. You are not the lockdown. You are the creator of your life. And I don't just mean that in a feel-good way. I mean, you have the power right now to reclaim what's yours. Your focus, your energy, your emotions. When life knocks us down, we have two choices. We can stay there, blame the world, and feel helpless, or we can decide that this is our turning point. The decision to stand up, to say enough, to take back control, that's the moment your life changes. Not when the world gets better, when you get better. And listen, this isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing to live in a beautiful state, even when things are uncertain. You can't control the environment, but you can always control what it means to you and what you do next. That's power. That's real freedom. But the truth is, the greatest force in your life isn't what happens to you. It's the meaning you attach to it. The minute you shift that, you become unstoppable. So now's the time. Take back your power, reclaim your life, and step into the future with a mindset that says, I decide how this story goes. Most people are out there just trying to get back to normal. But let me ask you, was normal really that great? Were you thriving? Were you truly fulfilled? Or were you settling? Because here's the truth. The pandemic was a wake-up call. It shook the world, but it also gave us something priceless. The opportunity to reset, to raise our standards, to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What kind of life do I want to live? See, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the standards you set for yourself. If you tolerate stress, overwhelm, mediocre health, shallow relationships, guess what you're going to get? Exactly that. But when you say, no more, this is who I am now, this is what I demand of myself, that's when transformation begins. Not just change, transformation. You don't get your goals, you get your standards. So what are you going to tolerate moving forward? What are you going to expect of yourself? Because if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that life is short. You've got to live full out. Don't just bounce back, bounce forward. Build a life that's rich, meaningful, and aligned with your highest vision. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And progress comes when you stop waiting for conditions to improve and you decide to improve. Raise your standards, step up. Don't aim to survive, aim to thrive. That's what you were made for. Every single day we feed our bodies, right? But how often are you feeding your mind? Because let me tell you, your mind is your most powerful tool or your greatest limitation. After everything we've just been through, the people who are thriving now aren't the ones who had the most money or resources. It's the ones who conditioned their mindset every day. Mental fitness is everything. You see, most people think their thoughts are just happening to them. That's not true. You're the one in charge. You just forgot. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it gets weak, reactive, overwhelmed. But if you build it, strengthen it, if you condition it, you become unshakable. And I don't mean positive thinking. I mean training yourself to live in a beautiful state no matter what's going on. That's why every morning I prime my mind. I don't leave it to chance. I create the emotions I want to live in. Gratitude, strength, determination. Because if you don't plant those seeds, weeds grow automatically. Fear, doubt, stress, those are default settings. You've got to override that. So ask yourself, what are you doing every day to master your emotions? Because the quality of your life is the quality of the emotions you live in. When you raise your emotional home, everything changes. You lead better, love deeper, think clearer. Don't let the world train your mind. You train your mind. That's how you take back control and create a life on your terms. If there's one thing the pandemic reminded us of, it's how much we need each other. When we were isolated, separated from friends, family, coworkers, we realized just how vital real connection is. And I'm not talking about likes or comments on a screen. I'm talking about the kind of connection where someone sees you, hears you, and feels you. That's what we're wired for. That's what gives life meaning. You see, success without connection is empty. You can have the money, the career, the achievements, but if you don't have deep, meaningful relationships, there's a hole inside you that nothing else can fill. And too many people go through life surrounded by others, but still feel alone. Why? Because they're not present. They're not being real. They're not showing up with their hearts open. And let me tell you, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength. It's the gateway to true connection. When you drop the mask, when you stop trying to impress and start trying to connect, that's when relationships shift. That's when life gets rich. This is your moment to reconnect, not just with others, but with yourself. Be more present with your kids. Be more open with your partner. Pick up the phone and call that friend you lost touch with. Don't wait. Create depth, create meaning, create intimacy. Because in the end, it's not what you get that matters. It's who you become and who you love along the way. That's what a beautiful life is made of. The world's always been uncertain, but now we've felt it in our bone. The pandemic stripped away the illusion of control. But here's the truth I've learned over 4.5 decades working with millions of people. The most successful, fulfilled people in the world aren't the ones with the most certainty around them. They're the ones who've built certainty within themselves. You've got to become the one thing in your life that's unshakable. That no matter what's happening, economy crashes, health challenges, relationships shift, you've trained yourself to respond instead of react. That's what emotional strength is. That's what real leadership is. And it starts by deciding, I will no longer be at the mercy of external chaos. You can't always control the wind, but you can control the sail. And you build that sail through habits, through rituals, through who you surround yourself with. Maybe that's a morning routine that anchors you. Maybe it's feeding your mind every day with something empowering. Maybe it's just remembering that you've made it through 100% of your worst days. You're stronger than you think. Unshakable doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means you don't let fear drive the bus. It means you breathe, you center, and you choose your next move with intention, not emotion. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the storm. It's about the strength you find within it. When you live from that place, life doesn't happen to you anymore. It starts happening for you. We've all been through something. Whether you lost someone, lost a business, lost time, it impacted you. And you have every right to feel that. But now I want you to hear this. Your past does not define you. It refines you. The question isn't, why did this happen to me? The real question is, what am I going to do with what happened? Pain by itself doesn't lead to growth. It's what you do with the pain. That's what creates transformation. Some of the most powerful people I've ever met didn't have an easy path. They had a moment where they turned pain into purpose. They used their darkest season to light the way for someone else. So ask yourself, how can you use what you've learned to serve, to lead, to elevate others? Because when you turn a crisis into a calling, you stop being the victim of your story and you become the author of it. That's where fulfillment lives. That's where meaning begins. We're not here just to survive. We're here to contribute. And nothing will make you feel more alive than growing and giving. So take what you've lived through and turn it into something bigger than you. Maybe that's mentoring someone, starting a new mission, building a business that matters. Whatever it is, channel your experience into impact. When your life becomes about more than just you, everything changes. That's when you don't just recover, you rise. That's how you live your best post-pandemic life.